day 199 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another quick update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to the happenings on the ground in Ukraine. And as always, I like to start off with those Russian military hardware and personnel losses. So we are the 10th of September today and currently sitting on 52,250 Russian or Russian backed, for example, Donbas fighters, military losses there. And to top that off, we have the hardware losses. So armored combat vehicles, 9, tanks, a massive 14, and artillery, a whopping 22, plus 1 chopper as well. So we'll jump back to the map here to begin with, where Ukraine has captured an estimated, nearly 1,000 square miles in the Kharkiv oblast offensive. So all around this top northern eastern section here, where the Ukrainian forces are clearing pockets of disorganized Russian forces caught in the rapid Ukrainian advance to Kupiansk, Izium, and the Oski River as well. Now, there is no perfectly updated or up-to-date map for what's going on here, but I have located this little gem for you, so it's a bit of an animation of what's happening. So basically, you'll see here the Ukrainian armed forces pushing through, going from the west to the east, starting out at Balaklia, going all the way to Kupiansk, and then finishing a little bit further down at the Izium entrance as well. Now, due to the extremely fluid situation on the ground at the moment, with over 30 settlements liberated in the Kharkiv Oblast region now, even when I'm talking, things are just changing so quickly. But I'll try to keep up with it. I'll try to put this in order. There's just a lot of information, a lot of good video footage here that I'll show you guys now. Okay, so we'll start off with a little bit of footage, and here we have the Sharivka, which is right near Balaklia, in fact. Zoom in and you'll see it there, where we can see footage of the Ukrainian armed forces advancing. So that was the first one to begin with there. Then we've got some additional footage of the Ukrainian armed forces in Kupiansk as well. So there we go with that one. Then we've got some news advising that the Ukrainians also made it through to very far. In fact, they've taken Izium, and I'll get into that in a moment. But right next to it, Kapitalovka, right here. So this one is actually a photo of an explosion there. Then just another quick photo of the Ukraine military putting up a flag in Borshivka there. Now we'll just jump back to the map quickly, and what's really happening here in Kharkiv at the moment with the ongoing recent offensive, just from a different look, is this whole area is being taken out. Everything from Balaklia through to the Oski River, north to Kupiansk and south to Izium. And very interestingly, there's a bridge out of Kupiansk has actually been hit. We don't know for sure, but we believe it's on the Ukrainian side. We very much doubt that the Russians would take out this bridge because they want their reinforcements to get back into this location. And just from recent history, we can see that any land obstacles, rivers, things like that, Russia has a very, very difficult time getting over, staying over, moving backwards and forwards, that sort of thing. So that's probably a really good thing to see there, their inability to recapture or reinforce this area, which they said they would do. I showed some footage yesterday, some sort of like Russian Ministry of Defense marketing footage showing these non-Z vehicles. They don't have the Zs on them. There's a bunch of them in all these wide angles and things, saying that these are going to help with the reinforcements in Kharkiv. But I think it's a bit too little too late, and we don't even know if that footage is real anyway. Now also we've got some footage of a base that was destroyed in Veliki Burlak right here, so very almost exactly east of Kharkiv there. So yeah, a bit of footage there to show too. So this is quite deeply held within Russian-held Ukrainian territory, getting really close to that actual Russian border too. So very interesting to see that there too. And I'll just quickly keep it up with the footage. The faster the better in this case. So much to go through. So in Kupiansk, got another bit of video footage of in the middle of the city, effectively. Some footage of spinning around the top of a rooftop of a building. So that's really good to see. It's actually quite impressive, really, because the international study of war, actually the Institute for the Study of War, said just a day ago that it might take up to 72 hours for Ukraine to take Kupiansk. So they did say that it would be taken, but in a much longer time, an extra 2 days. So it's already been taken, so that's really great to see there. Really impressive. And we've got an additional photo of a flag put up at Kupiansk. And another photo of what appears to be a very, very warm welcome by the Ukrainian citizens and civilians there to the Ukrainian military. Now we'll move on to Izium, because this is really breaking news in the last couple of hours or so, that the Russian forces have actually left Izium without a fight, according to some sources there on the ground. Many, many sources, in fact. I'm thinking back from an hour or two ago. It's absolutely confirmed from many levels at this point now. Now here's a quick video of the Izium entrance. Better scroll down there on the actual map itself. But here's Izium, previously red. So it does still on this map say it's a red or Russian occupied territory, but that's just no longer the case. The map is slower than real life, of course. We've got some previous Russian bases there. That's what that stands for, those little tents. But truly an amazing Ukraine armed forces maneuver. Was able to encircle it and go around the whole area and causing Russians to flee as quickly as they could because of the unfortified positions on the Russian side. Then we've got some footage of a guy, a Russian soldier leaving Izium. Him and a comrade of his. So he's saying that they need to get out ASAP because it's about to get dark, which reminds me of Russia's lack of any warfare capabilities during nighttime. Turns out they don't really have, or not enough of them have the correct gear or equipment for nighttime defense or assaults. They particularly, the soldiers in particular, there's some audio calls captured about the Russian soldiers laughing about the fact that they don't even have night vision goggles, things of that nature there. And it's no different for this guy, it seems, as well, the way that he's talking. And then we've got just a quick telegram message, sort of like a Russian telegram message saying a couple of things here. So the top message just happens to say that Kherson is getting HIMARSed left, right and center sort of thing. And the bottom message is saying Izium, Kharkiv region, Ukraine, city surrendered. So there you go. Now in all of this update in the last 24 hours where Ukraine just kept pushing and pushing into the Kharkiv region, a lot of Russian equipment, working equipment, was actually donated to the Ukrainian armed forces. And I say that very facetiously. They just left a lot of good working stuff behind. The first one is something of a small ammunitions depot, or just a bit of ammunition left over at the Balaklia location. Call it a small military arsenal, if you will. And probably next up in no particular order, the U forces captured a Russian Gaz-51 truck in the Kharkiv oblast. Now, these are actually really old. It's surprising to see these. These were last manufactured in about 1974, 1975, but this one could easily be from the 60s. So next up we have the Ukrainians also captured a most likely abandoned Russian Tor M1, which is really sort of like a short-range surface-to-air missile system. Then also in the Kharkiv Oblast we have capturing of some Russian. So there's a Tunguska and a Shilka Spag. So they're Spags as they call them. which in other words is a self-propelled anti-aircraft weapon. So self-propelled is like, there's not like 10 men filling it up with ammunitions. It looks like a tank, sounds like a tank, but tell you what, it ain't a tank. It's just anti-aircraft. Then we have this is a photo of the Ukrainian forces capturing a T-72 tank as well. And on top of that, they also got a counter battery radar system, which is pretty cool. So let's just say when the Russians would normally be using this before it was left behind, these things would actually capture where the artillery projectiles from the Ukrainian side are coming from and use those coordinates effectively to shoot back at that location. And then next up, a Ukrainian tank recovers a captured Russian BA-2 engineering vehicle. It looks like it digs trenches perhaps, but it's sort of really used for road and track clearing and grading. Oh, and we've got another video here of a T-72 tank towed by another T-72 tank that was donated from the Russian army to the Ukrainian army as well. Another way of saying that is that the first one was actually donated by Russia, towing the second one that is now donated. And just quickly, we've got a BMP-1. It's like a super old, actually really old, first gen infantry fighting vehicle. So not quite a tank, although it's got a bit of a gun, that sort of thing on them usually. And then similar to that, another photo here, so of a Russian BMP-2, so a newer variant of the IFV, in other words, in the infantry fighting vehicle, and BTR-80 APC, which is good to see there as well. So that's the armored personnel carrier to move people around with a bit of armor too. Now we'll get off the Kharkiv side. It's just so much information to take in. I just wanted to show you a few flags, a few settlements, a few things donated, as I really starting to call it now, where they're at. So all of this is really taken where I'm rounding my mouse around at the moment. Probably even further by the time you watch this video, or even by the time I'm able to upload it. But ever-changing fluid situation for sure there. So we'll move across a little bit to the Donbas now, and we'll see what's going on here. In fact, what I might just quickly mention to you is Izium is it's really hard to read here because of the bases. Izium is just on the border, the Kharkiv oblast border, to the Donbas. And Donbas, of which has a couple of towns, very important towns here, that the biggest towns that Russia wants to take in the Donbas region, the two biggest remaining ones, is Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. Now, obviously, so much pressure was put on the Russian side here at the south eastern Kharkiv section, where, in fact, can't say exactly, I can't really confirm it, but probably all this is, at the time of recording, all taken now, which makes it very difficult for the Russian forces who were previously now staged there to shell Slavyansk and Kramatorsk as much. So they'll get a much needed break. There's obviously always a lot of shelling going on from the Russian sides in the Donbas, but you'll start to see Kramatorsk, Slavyansk slowing down in getting some attacks there, which is nice to see, really. Also, we've got some footage of Ukrainian forces crossing the T-514 bridge over the Seversky Donetsk River, reportedly heading towards Lyman, but I'll just show where that would be. So it's right here. So if we zoom in, doesn't say it, but this is the T-0514, the 514 going across the river there. But all full steam ahead, so we're going to Lyman here. Well, the Ukraine forces are, at least, not me. And when we get further into the Donbas, into the Donetsk Oblast in particular, and from there into near the main center, so Donetsk, we've got another video footage of shelling here, believed to be a military site strike from the Ukrainian side as well. Then we'll keep moving around the map for today. So we'll move across to the Dnipro Petrovisk oblast here, which is really what I want to see is the Dnipro, the city. So there was actually 2 cruise missiles launched here in our Dnipro district. To the outskirts overnight. One was shot down, but the other one did hit some sort of industrial enterprise, causing a fire. There were no casualties reported. Now the Russians used a Kh-59 cruise missile. So again, this is Soviet era stuff. It's not more modern like the Islanders and the Calibers, things of that nature that Russia does have, but are in very, very short supply. So they are, using some older missile technology. And that's probably half the reason why 1 out of 2 was able to be shot down in the first place by the Ukrainian forces. Having said that, we do have actually confirmed hits of Ukrainian air defenses taking out modern Islander missiles from the Russian side as well, so always good to know. And also we've got some really recent reports of an explosion in Melitopol after a missile hit. Then we move down to the Kherson Oblast, where there is the other counteroffensive going on. Really the first of the 2. We had the South Kherson, followed by days, or maybe a week later or so, the Kharkiv in the north. Now, no surprise, there's been more explosions reported in the Kharkiv district, so that's around here up the top near the dam bridge. So something we expect very much. Ukraine just does not give the Russian forces a break, and causes an inability for the Russian forces to traverse between the north and the south of the Dnipro River to the north bank, where there's estimated maybe 20,000 Russian troops on the north still, maybe somewhat cornered in fact. But on this topic or this area, the Ukraine forces destroyed 9 tanks and eliminated 75 Russian troops in the south here. They also destroyed 2 Mr. B howitzers and 8 units of armoured vehicles. So yeah, quite a big day as well on the Kherson counteroffensive too. And then we'll move across to a little bit of news for the day, and we'll keep it at that. So news from Estonia. So the Estonian unmanned armoured personnel carriers, so let's call them unmanned APCs, arrived in Ukraine. Now, they're called the Themis APCs, and what they do is, so unmanned, so they free up infantry from the front line, so it's sort of a safer deal like that. Pulls away wounded soldiers from the front line, and actually also drops off ammunition to the front line as well. So they're quite cool, what they are. They're like, let's call it a robot tank, just to really simplify it there. And in some further news, this has been briefly mentioned already yesterday, but according to Ukraine's general staff, Belarus is holding military drills in the north at the border to Ukraine, in which it simulates crossing the border with Ukraine. So that's kind of funny, a little bit silly. Belarus just doesn't have the sustainment capability to take on Ukraine now, especially when, to be honest, it seems like Ukraine's starting to become one of the probably the biggest militaries with a lot of military might. At least by the end of this whole war, they'll be NATO'd up with technology from here to the wazoo, and very well skilled and trained as well. So Belarus is actually quite a small country with an even smaller military, and they're probably being forced to do this from Putin. And in some more, let's call it good news, Ukraine shoots down $157.5 million USD worth of Russian aircrafts in the last 3 days. So this includes things like the 2 Ka-52 Russian Alligator choppers, an Mi-24 helicopter, 2 Su-25 jets, and 10 all-land drones. So been making it very costly from an Air Force, a Russian Air Force perspective, for the Russians in the last few days there. And just a really quick short funny to round it off today with guys. So this has been going around in the last few days and weeks. Russia was saying that everything is going according to plan. Then this joke here kind of speaks of the Russian side is actually really, in real actuality, fleeing from the Kharkiv Oblast area, it seems. Oh, and on that topic of the fleeing, in that exact same Kharkiv Oblast area as well, got a quick video here that relates. So, Russian occupier, sort of on the back of a tow, explaining how lucky he is to flee. Okay guys, well that's it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe. Try to ignore the trolls, as I sometimes like to say in the comments. They are just, they really try to take things out of context, so ignore them. They're just a bit silly, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.